Welcome to Straight Up Strategies for Self-Made Men. And this session is about Success Starts Sunday. You might have heard some people talk about separation seasons, or separations occur on a Friday. Now, typically they come because there's separation seasons when people clock off. They clock off at the end of the year. They might clock off in winter. They might clock off on Fridays. And that's your chance to get ahead of the pack, to keep working through that. But there was one thing that I found in my journey. There was a number of times where I would start a challenge, or I would start a system, or I would start a strategy or a process that I wanted to move me from where I was in the pain that I was sitting in to somewhere special, to somewhere else. And we typically see these around New Year's Eve, New Year's resolutions. And I was no different to everybody else. In fact, I remember a year or two ago, I looked through some old photos and I had found 8 times where I had taken a before photo that didn't have an accompanying after photo. So 8 times in about a 4 or 5 year period, I had decided to start a physical challenge, a health challenge, and I hadn't seen it through. This was also the case when I was trying to quit gambling. I would quit for a little while and then you'd go back to it. And some people have this with alcohol, and some people have this with their exercise, and some people have it with food and diets. We keep starting habits and we fail. We might be a couple of days in and we give it up. We might be a week in and we give it up. We might be a month in and we seem to pat ourselves on the back, take a little rest, and then never get back to it. New Year's resolutions, we know that 92% of people don't make February. Like 92% of people don't stick to their New Year's resolution for a month or longer. I think it's about 12 days in is the average day that people will last. And I started putting some thought around this when I kept failing. And I couldn't figure out why, because I was determined, I had motivation, I was able to start, but for some reason I kept quitting on myself, kept quitting on the future. I couldn't really put my finger on it. And then I started to figure out why. One of the main reasons that I was failing to stick to what I wanted to do was that I had no history, or very little history, of keeping promises to myself. Very little history of doing what I said I was going to do and sticking to it. Even worse was my history of keeping small promises to myself. Those little promises where you say you're going to go to the gym at 6 in the morning and by 12 o'clock you're still arguing with yourself that it's okay, you can go at 5 p.m. and maybe you do go, but you broke the little promise. The promise that you weren't going to hit snooze on the alarm tomorrow. You were going to bounce out of bed or get out of bed. And then you convince yourself that, one more day's okay. I can just hit snooze today and then tomorrow I'll get into it. Where you tell somebody that you're going to meet them at 4 o'clock for a drink and you don't get there till 4:15. These are little promises that whittle away at our self-confidence. So every time that I wanted to start a big process, every time I wanted to start one of these health campaigns, every time I wanted to start a mental health campaign, every time I wanted to start an education campaign or do something with my relationships, my subconscious automatically knew that, you don't keep these promises anyway, so why would I invest a hell of a lot of time into it? And pretty much you're kind of admitting you're going to quit before you even start. Subconsciously, at least that's what you're doing. And then eventually at some stage you start to create an excuse or a justifiable reason why. That's just your conscious brain trying to answer what your subconscious has already decided, and that is we're going to quit. We're going to quit on ourselves. And I got to thinking, why is it that is how we always end up? And what can I do to change it? And that's where I started to come up with the Success Starts Sunday theory. And this is my unique take on Sundays. Sundays, yes, is a day of the week. And the reason why I say it's Success Starts Sunday is because a lot of our campaigns start Monday. We always say we're going to start a diet on Monday. We always say we're going to start hitting the gym on a Monday. We always say we're going to start reaching out to do more sales calls, or we're going to reach out to find another job, or actually talk to our boss about a raise, or I'm going to put more time into my relationship starting Monday. It's the start of the week. It kind of makes sense. Start the week, start strong. But typically, if we make that promise on a Thursday, we've got 4 days that we start talking ourselves out of it. And then we also have the history of us not keeping promises to ourselves. So really we're fighting a losing battle almost from the start. So to me, Sundays maybe the day if you're going to start on Monday. But Sundays, in a more metaphorical sense, is the time before you actually start your challenge. And the success is built, the success is created before you actually start what you're going to do. And we've created some tools for this that we're going to get into a little bit more as this group grows. But it's all about focusing on the Sunday, focusing on the preparatory phase, focusing on what you can do to get you as close to knowing that you will stick to your goal, stick to your habit, stick to your promise. So for instance, if you are going to start a new diet on Monday, then you can't do the shopping on the Monday, because what will happen is you'll open the fridge in the morning, you won't have anything that you want to eat, and you'll say to yourself, oh, well, I've got nothing that lines up with my nutrition program. I might as well start it tomorrow. And by the time you get to Thursday, you're already trying to program next Monday to start again. The same thing with your exercise. If you don't have your shoes ready on Sunday, well, by the time Monday comes, you've got to go buy a pair of shoes and then get going. All of the things that you want to start on Monday, there is something that you can do Sunday to make sure that the minute that you wake up Monday, you are hitting the ground running. There's the great African proverb about whether you're a gazelle or a lion, when the sun comes up, you better be running, right? If you want to eat, if you're the lion, when the sun comes up, you better be running. If you're the gazelle, if you want to stay alive, when the sun comes up, you better be running. And that's the case with all of the habits for success that we want to build. We have to be ready to wake up running on that Monday morning, on the 1st of January, on your anniversary, on your birthday, at the start of the month, whatever the time is. The success for your challenge actually starts before your challenge starts. The messages that you send to yourself, the signals that you send to yourself in the day, the days, or the weeks leading up to when you are going to start your challenge, that is where the success is built. What are you doing in that preparation phase? If you have a long enough lead time, start practicing keeping promises to yourself. We've got a free journal that you can do this in, our Fourplay Focus Journal. It's in here. Download it. It's free. You can learn to start building and keeping promises to yourself if you have weeks before. If you are literally at the day before, what can you do? Can you plan your time? Can you move your phone outside of your room so when the alarm goes off, you have to get up? Can you put your running clothes by the bed so as soon as you get up, you're straight into them? Can you pour 500 mils of water the night before and leave it beside your bed so that when you wake up, you can start with that? Can you organize the meeting with your boss at a time so that as soon as you get to work, you know what's happening? There are always things that you can do on Sunday that make your Mondays more likely to get started running. That's the real key. The key isn't the motivation. The key is the preparation. You have to be ready. You have to be conscious, and you have to be able to prepare and plan for failure. You have to understand your weak points. I knew eventually that when I said I was going to start something on Monday, that I would run out of steam by a Wednesday, by a Friday. So I would put something in place that made it a challenge to make sure I got to the Saturday or the following Monday, or a reward-based system, so that I would plan, I would know when my weak points would come, and I would put something in place that would help me move through that weak point. Whether it was the planning of where I put my clothes, all the way down to rewards with maybe a night out or a dinner, even the way I structured a nutrition plan that I created in 2011, I created it specifically so that on Fridays, it was a little more relaxed. So if I worked hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I knew I had something to look forward to. I did that because if I didn't have that thing to look forward to, I'd get to Monday, Tuesday, and I'd probably give up. But I prepared it. I planned it. I did all the research. I did it weeks and months ahead to figure out what's the best system for me to ensure that I would keep going on that nutrition program. That's where your success will start. All of your success starts before your challenge starts. Something that I had to learn the hard way over a number of years. In order for me to quit and stop living a life that was destroying me, I actually had to put more time into preparation for how I would build a life that I wanted. I had to build the preparation because otherwise I was going in blind. I didn't know the identity that I wanted to create. I wasn't conscious about who I was. I wasn't conscious about where I wanted to be. I just used generic terms. I followed the flow. I watched things on Instagram and thought, that's who I want to be. Maybe that will work for me. It wasn't until I really sat down and did all the work on the Sunday. And for me, the Sunday was months. 9 months was my Sunday. And I did the work in 9 months. That meant when I started, when I was ready to start, I didn't stop. That 9 months for me started in September 2017. The 9 months ended in July 2018. And since July 2018, I have lived predominantly, not always, we're not perfect, but I have lived more than not the life that I wanted to live, that I controlled, that I created. Where I am now is a product of everything I did in that 9 months, that preparation. Because on the 19th of July 2018, when I finally had my come to Jesus moment and decided that I'm ready, all the work had been done. All the work had been done, and all I had to do was follow. And I'd put things in place to make sure that when it got hard, I kept going. And I put things in place to make sure that when I forgot my shoes, I kept running. And I put things in place to make sure that when I got down, I could get back up. And so it is the preparation that you take. If you've only got a day, prepare a day. If you've got a week, prepare the whole week. If you've got a month, take the whole month. Be conscious about it. Be specific. Work on your Sundays so that when your Monday arrives, you can get up running. There's really not a lot more to say there. What I do want to say is, if you don't know how to prepare your Sundays, drop me a note below, drop a comment below. If you put Sunday help below, I'll reach out to you personally and I will help you build your Sunday. I am more than happy to do that. If you don't know where to start, I didn't. It took me 12 years. If you don't know where to start, put Sunday help below. Send me a DM and I will personally reach out to you and help move you from where you are now to where you want to be. Or at the very least, I will help you build your Sunday so that when your Monday comes, you're ready to take action. Thanks for joining us today. As I said, I'll figure this system out a whole lot more later on, but it's been great coming to you. Drop me a note below or send me a note if you saw this, what it meant to you, whether you have any questions for future episodes, because lastly, I like to say to everybody, my passion is to take everybody from where they are now to where they want to be. But I need you to do your bit. Chase success, be brutal, and don't stop.